Hi, it's Jan Beta, and this is a Dell Latitude CPX laptop with Windows NT code on it. And yeah, it apparently is a pretty old system. I don't know if it says anywhere how old it is. Like from the 2000s. These were shipped with Windows 98 and Windows NT. So this is a pretty nice retro laptop. I got this from a dumpster at the place I work, and it also came actually a couple of weeks later. I found in the same dumpster this matching power supply, and this has a problem. It's broken. The cable. This is a common fault on these, it appears. So the cable broke, and if you connect it, basically nothing happens. So I just thought, hey, this is just a power supply problem. I just get one of those cheapy replacement power supplies, which I did. Yeah, I tried plugging it in, and this LED started blinking, like the alarm kind of blinking, and this thing didn't light up at all, and also it gave up a little burning electronics smell. So I think there's something burned in here, which is pretty much a pity because this thing is in pretty nice state. This is a Pentium 3 actually. So this is a nice laptop, nice retro laptop that I would have a lot of uses for. It also comes with a disk drive still, and I think it also it doesn't have a CD-ROM drive. So I could use this for a variety of things, I guess. But it doesn't work. So I thought, as this came from the dumpster and I already paid like 10 euros or something for this replacement power supply, why not have a go at fixing it and opening it up and seeing what's inside. At least having a teardown and maybe finding an obvious fault that I am able to fix. I have no experience whatsoever with fixing laptops. I had a go at a MacBook Air, I believe, which had liquid damage, and I'm pretty proud to say that I at least got it to the boot screen again, but then it totally broke down again, so the screen backlight broke down again and stuff like that. So it's pretty fiddly working with these machines. This is an old laptop, so it's probably easier to work with than the modern MacBook Air that was just a couple of years old. Yeah, basically I want to look inside and see if I can see anything. Might just be a blown capacitor or something, or maybe one blown chip that might be replaceable. I don't know. I don't even know what this thing looks from inside, but usually, yeah, I would say I'm not the person to fix this, but yeah, maybe. Let's see. So as I said, I don't have very high hopes for this, but might be interesting. So I just put some tape. I don't want you to steal my Windows NT 4 license that I now legally acquired. As opposed to the modern laptops, this is actually made to be serviced, it seems. There are little screws that say K, which I believe are the keyboard screws, and there are screws that say P, which are probably with a P, for this plastic bezel holding the trackpad, touchpad, whatever it's called. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to remove all the add-ons here that are they're just clipped in, I think. Yes. So here's my disk drive. It's pretty nice. I like these old style laptops that are like modular and you can just remove. This is the battery. Battery's dead, of course, obviously. So you still get batteries for these things actually. I believe this is the RAM. I don't know if you can just open this. Yes, you can. That's the RAM. Oh, and there's only one slot populated, so we could just put more RAM in there easily. Here's, I believe, is the hard disk, which is secured in by one screw only. Probably the hard disk. Don't know what else it should be. And this, there we go. Okay. That's easy. And it appears to be Fujitsu. Does it say how much it is? I don't know how much this is. Probably not a very big hard disk. Here's some PCMCIA slot, which has the gold card, multi-function PC card, 64K in fax. This is probably... but it's missing there's probably an adapter to connect all the phone lines and stuff to it that I don't have, obviously. It has a dual PCMCIA slot, which was pretty common. There's even 2 buttons to eject the cards. It was pretty common back in the day because PCMCIA was quite state of the art. So I think I'm just going to remove the keyboard and see if I can see the main board below there. Let's remove the screws with the K. This is nice, people. Why don't you build stuff like this anymore? And this is not even very old. It's like 2000, and it is made to be actually accessible to humans. Even though it's probably meant to be accessible to humans that have a repair shop. But even that it's pretty much... It has changed. Now it's just like you throw stuff away and get a new laptop. Back then this was something that you would at least try to repair or get repaired. So let's see. Does it come out yet? Yes, it does. Okay, so that's nice. So, and here you can just lift this up a bit. And there's our keyboard ribbon, which probably... it's locked in place with a little clamp that you can pull up. I think it's the same method like on the Amiga 1200. There we go. Okay. It's the whole connector here. Slide out here. Yes. This is the whole keyboard unit. And the smell is really, really harsh here. So let's see. Doesn't appear to be too much stuff in there. This is kind of... I think this is probably where the processor is and maybe the graphics card. This is like a heatsink and a fan in there. This, I don't know, I'm just going to remove that, I guess. This is probably the connector for the screen. There's one screw that has some gunk on it. I'm just going to use my wrist strap here. Not accidentally burn something here. There's a little screw. Can I? Yes, I can lift this up. So I don't see any burned components yet, but it smells horrible. Maybe let's take off this heatsink here. I'm just going, this is just all Phillips screws, which is pretty... those were the days, people. So it's pretty much all Phillips screws. Let's see if there's something burned in there. Okay, so there's our processor stuff and our graphics chip. This is probably the processor right here. Oh, okay, and it has one of those thermal pads on there. Fancy schmancy. This is like a whole add-in card, which is pretty nice. But nothing's burned here. It smells like something really burned. Okay, let's put this back on, I guess, before we damage anything. These are pretty nice. This is no thermal paste, but thermally conductive silicon pads, which makes this pretty clean. It's a clean thing to work on. This is, all in all, so far, this is pretty straightforward. And it's in pretty good shape, actually. I don't know what the deal is with the smell there. I'll have to give this a closer inspection, I guess. Maybe it could also, of course, be on the back side of the board or something like that. There's some cracks, but there's just cracked plastic. That's nothing serious, I guess. Where's our power connector anyway? There, so maybe there's something wrong there. That's behind there, okay. I should remove the screen here. there's these screws labeled D, which is probably the screws responsible for the display, I would guess. So let's just go on and remove those, shall we? Okay, this one. Ah, now I can just, okay. I can just lift this off. Okay, the whole screen assembly just lifts off. That's nice. There's our connector. There's a fuse in there. There's a 5 amp fuse right behind there. I'll check that for sure. Let's test the fuse. Okay, the fuse. Fuse is good. That's probably why something burned, because the fuse should prevent that, ideally. There's no electrolytic caps. There are huge tantalum caps and some smaller ceramic caps, but nothing badly burned or broken or anything. Oh, there's more chips in there. Can you see anything? There's some plastic residue. Copyright 1999. Really can't see anything severely damaged there. So I'm just gonna put this back in. Okay, now without the peripherals, I probably should remove the RAM too. To do that, maybe it's the RAM that's broken also. Or the RAM socket. Might as well be something on the underside of the board. Okay, no burned components on the RAM. No burned traces here. Let's try this again with the replacement power supply thing on. So that's the normal operation. Light goes on. So this doesn't smell or anything, so this probably should be fine. Okay, I'm just gonna unplug this. And plug it into the laptop and see if it starts smoking or anything like that. So this goes like this. Now this light goes off. Okay, let's plug it in and see what happens. Hopefully it won't explode. So there's what happens. This starts blinking. It starts smelling a bit. And this gets pretty hot. Okay. So this is like something like a power supply board or something, I guess. Okay, so this is probably broken. There is something severely wrong with this laptop, I guess. And it gets hot there, so let's see which component gets hot. Let's take it out real quick. Probably something on the other side there. Couldn't feel anything getting hot. So I was poking around this board for a bit. This little, I assume it's like a power supply for the backlight, for the screen, and for the power supply, general power supply for the board. And look what I found. I measured the measuring resistance, just like this is like a chart, and normally these tantalum caps are like mega ohms and a couple of mega ohms in resistance, and the resistance slowly goes down while you measure, which is fine. And there are some, I don't know if you can see it, that only have like half an ohm resistance. So these are maybe cactus. There's basically a short across the power rates there. So this whole area here basically is a short. There is this one big trace coming from here. It might be the capacitors. So, yeah, the other caps, I measured them, are like no shorts at all. They are like a couple of kilo ohms, at least a couple of 100 kilo ohms or mega ohms. So these are highly suspect, I guess. Might be that there's something else shorted, but I think I just want to get those off and see if at least the short goes away. Otherwise we could be sure that the short is in somewhere in the power rails there, that they are supposedly. So this is what we're dealing with. Surface mount, 22 microfarad, 35 volts capacitors. Okay, let's try and remove some caps here. I'm using my regular soldering iron because I don't have the heat gun handy. I'm just going to use some flux. So, by the way, don't be afraid of surface mount components. They're usually easier to desolder than through-hole components, because you just have to heat them from this side. If they are not tiny, so the tiny ones are a bit harder sometimes. So let's see if they're still short across these voltage rails. Allegedly voltage rails. Okay, no, there isn't. No short, so the caps are the problem here. Let's see. Let's see which one is the culprit. One of them is bad, I guess. Oh, this has like a burn mark on the side, so this might be it. Yep, this is shorted. Okay, so this one definitely is bad. That's probably good. This is probably good too. Okay, so we have one bad capacitor. That's the one. I'm just gonna mark this. That's not an expensive repair. Probably. So I think this was the culprit. This thing is short. And if you look closely, there's a little burn mark on the side of it. So usually these, if they go, they tend to go up in flames, like really badly. But this seems to have combusted internally. I hope nothing else is damaged, but this looks like it's the fault. So I probably put the others back in and get a new one, and then put that in. This might be the fix, I don't know. Hopefully. Of course, I could put in an equivalent electrolytic for testing purposes. I think I'm going to put in a 22 microfarad electrolytic one, just for testing this. So I'm soldering these back in, and for that purpose I'm obviously using some flux again, because you never can have enough flux, especially for surface mount stuff. Surface mount soldering with Young Beta. So I tint the right hand pads there. Let's see if I can show you this a bit closer. So then I'm taking my component with my little snaps here. I'm heating up the solder on the one side and just placing the component while it's heated. And then I go in, like Bob Ross, heat up the solder on the other side there. And add some to the board. That's how you surface mount solder. So here's the standard electrolytic 22 microfarad 50 volts one, and I'm just going to put it in there. So the positive is on this side. The positive on the tantalums, the positive side is marked, and on the electrolytes the negative side is marked, which is pretty confusing to the beginner. Of course, I'm a professional. I'm not a professional at all. But I did that before, so seen it before, let's say it like that. Okay, so there we are. Should be the right polarity. Don't know if it fits in the case like this, but this should in theory, at least halfway work, because I think these are filtering caps across the voltage lines there, and it was a short across the whatever these lines feed there. I don't even need to know, I just know that there's a short somewhere on the power lines, which probably prevented this thing from working, and which this thing here, the little tantalum cap, caused the smell probably. So let's see what it does if I turn it on now. It might of course be that there's something else wrong with the board, and that when I put it back in, it's going to blow up completely. Don't hope so, but it might be. So got it in. Just going to put the plastic back on for good measure. Putting the plug in, and putting the power plug in. Okay, power plugs in. Aha! And as you can see, there's no short anymore. That's cool. Let's see if it turns the fan on if I push the power button. No, it doesn't. But that might be because there's no RAM in this machine and no nothing. So maybe. Okay, let me show you what happens when I turn this on. There we have a little light show. This is the power light, I believe, and this is just the nice. So I believe this would be working now if we put it back together. So that's what I'm going to do, I guess. Let's go with the screen first. That doesn't matter very much. Oh, and I should obviously put the hard disk back in if I seriously want to try this. Let's see. I am connecting the power plug, and I am connecting the power. Still didn't blow up. Let's see. I turn it on, and the screen comes on, and it's really dusty. Invalid configuration information. Time of day not set. Okay, so this thing totally works. Let's go into setup. It's a 500 MHz Pentium 3. So this works again. ATI 8 MB graphics card, a Maestro audio control. Wow, this takes me way back. This is so cool. Okay, I'm going to play with this for a while, I think. And this might be the machine I actually install Windows 98 on, because there are definitely drivers, because it's from the right era. It even says Windows 2000, Windows NT, Windows 98. So we can definitely get Windows 98 on there, which is cool. I'm slightly cleaning this up before I do any further work on this. I should probably wait until I get the proper tantalum cap in there, but I think as it's just a filter cap, I can get away with leaving the electrolytic cap in there for now. Okay, in the meantime I have acquired some proper replacement caps, and I'm not afraid to use them. So I'm going to put this in there. So I'm going to replace this one with a proper tantalum one. Oh, I got some spare ones in case any of the others fail. Okay. Okay, and it still appears to work. Okay, so the repair seems to be successful. You may wonder why I left this slot where the floppy disk drive sat empty. Well, that's because I bought a CD-ROM drive for very, very cheap from eBay that goes in there. And this machine is designed to swap these on the fly, so you can use it, and while you're using it, swap the floppy disk drive for a CD-ROM drive and vice versa. So that's pretty handy for a retro computer setup. About this, to have a means to install Windows 98 on this, which is what I think this machine is ideal for. It's pretty close in specs to the second PC I owned, which was a Pentium 3 with 666 megahertz actually, that had Windows 98 on it. Okay, I totally have the CD-ROM drive in there. Let's see if it works. So after my previous attempts to install Windows 98 on a far too modern computer, the problem was there were no drivers at all for Windows 98. This has, as it says, it's designed for Windows 98 on this little Windows sticker here. It has drivers still available on the Dell website for Windows 98, for Windows 2000, for Windows Millennium Edition, everything you would ever want. So I downloaded the drivers for Windows 98 for this particular machine, and I'm pretty confident that we get Windows 98 running on this thing, which is like kind of a dream come true, like a bad dream, maybe, if you will. But yeah, I'm going to try to install Windows 98 on this machine. Oh, and it comes with a free CD. Okay, it's a bit boring. These are Microsoft IntelliPoint 3.2. That's the mouse software from 2000, I guess. Might come in handy sometime. I'm gonna keep this. But for now, Windows 98 time. So now we should boot from the CD-ROM, I guess. Okay, boot from CD-ROM. And if you want to see me installing Windows 98, you can watch the video where I tried it on the newer machine. The installation process is on there. It's pretty boring, so I'm not gonna go through the whole process, I guess. I'm just going to show you the results. Okay, this is the first actual real boot, I think. There we are! That's the desktop! Welcome! Oh man. Okay, we're gonna close this right away and install some drivers, I guess. So I went the convenient way and just burned a CD for the drivers. Because the DVD, the USB support is very, very limited, couldn't find a driver for this USB stick. Aha! Okay, the graphics driver seems to work. We have a full screen. And now it supposedly installs the rest of the drivers there. And there's an audio device. Yes, nice. Maybe we are hearing the Windows startup sound. Maybe so. Oh. Okay. Don't even remember this cheesy music. That's from the welcome tour thing. Wow, that's cheesy. How do I turn the volume down? Oh, there we go. So there we go. This is a working Windows 98 installation. I have graphics running, I have sound running. This works far better than the previous try that I tried on a too modern PC. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have some fun with this now. Okay, anyway, this is a working computer. I have Windows 98 on there with the most important drivers, and I can play DOS games with this because Windows 98 is still based on DOS. So I'm pretty happy with this. Dumpster find. I bought a new power supply, I bought the CD-ROM drive. I can use this for disks because I have the swap-in floppy disk drive. Yeah, this is a nice machine. Especially when you're working with other retro computers, you can use this for all kinds of stuff, like writing disks or using a real serial port, which this has in the back. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope this wasn't too long. I'm gonna play some more Doom 2 now. And this actually is Win Doom, or Doom 95, which is, it actually uses higher resolution and stuff for textures, and it's pretty nifty, and it runs really well on Windows 98, and it doesn't run very well on anything after Windows 98, I think, so this is the machine for that. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again on this channel. If you want to give me some support, check out my Patreon. There's always behind the scenes stuff and vlogs and stuff on there for you to check out. You can check out the description. There's links to my Twitter that you can follow if you are interested in retro computer stuff or vintage audio or electronics in general. Yeah, so much for now. I'm Jan Beta. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.